everyone, and welcome to our WMEA Sunday broadcast here in Arizona, and to those that are joining online. Today I'm going to be discussing spiritual leadership and new standards of living. So as I was sitting there during meditation this morning, I was thinking about the talk, and I wanted to let you know that today's talk is not directed to one particular type of leadership, not just political leadership or leaders of corporations or the heads of churches, and not to men, not to women, but to the whole. Also, think about it, you may not be what you would consider a leader today who has followers or who is manifesting a vision, but you will, because that is just the process of being on a spiritual path. Being on a spiritual path means the development and unfoldment of our human soul. And once our soul awakens, it's awakening to a purpose. And as our higher self impresses our personality life, impresses our soul with a vision, and we as souls become awakened, and now we have purpose, we have to manifest that purpose within the vision that our higher self has given us, and that's leadership. So whether we're there now or we're striving to get there, to be an awakened soul, we all have seeds of leadership within our own beingness. When I think of new era leaders, I think of visionary leaders, those who have a sense of future, who feel a connection with infinity in their heart, and have connections or have concerns about the soul of humanity. They must have connections with the souls of humanity, and in that connection they will experience concerns, as we do today. So true leaders are those who are able to lead themselves toward new standards of living and operation. I was listening to Tony Blair this morning, who is from London and used to be their prime minister in Britain, and he's written a book called Leadership. He's a very eloquent man and very other-oriented in his leadership. And when Fareed Zakaria asked him to talk about Kamala Harris and her proposals, he said, you know, it's not for me to talk about either Kamala Harris or the other person. He said that's their job, what they're doing for their country. It was so impressive to hear another leader show respect to another country and not get involved with divisive politics. That's leadership. The soul of a futuristic leader projects a part of the plan they must accomplish in their life into the sphere of their mind. The soul of a future, that means the higher self of a futuristic leader is going to project a part of the plan of their soul that they must accomplish in their life. They're going to project it into the sphere of the mind of the growing leader. This sphere is like a magnetic field that is given to them. When their developing soul, the leader's developing soul, encounters, connects with, feels the presence of this plan, of this purpose, in their beingness, a vision is born. The leader then endeavors to translate and actualizes this vision with unwavering dedication, aspiration, relentless striving, empowering them to turn their vision into reality. What is so beautiful about true leadership, and this finally answered a question for me, because about leadership, the power, the beauty, the significance, the accomplishments of the leaders that have gone before us. After they pass, what then? What then? The answer to what then is, they bring that knowledge, they bring that experience, they bring their accomplishments into the higher worlds, teach, share, educate, expand their consciousness, and come back into incarnation with the continuity of that vision. And the vision further expands into a plan that is part of the planetary logos, that is part of Shambhala, that is part of hierarchy. So when we think about thinking of Anthony Blair, I think of Winston Churchill, who was such a great leader. Now we understand that they take their accomplishments, their leadership, into the fiery worlds and teach what they experienced in the ashram, expands on that experience, expands on the knowledge through contact with higher beings, and they bring that wisdom back into their next life as a greater being. For a disciple who is consciously on the hierarchical path, such a leader understands that their vision is a part of the hierarchical plan that they can bring to life. This part of the plan is their responsibility, one that they can fulfill at their level, in their cycle of incarnation, their cycle of life, and with their capacity. So regardless of the nature of their vision, it propels them towards personal growth, fulfillment, and a deeper sense of purpose through greater service for humanity, and at the same time cooperation with the plan. With progress, such a leader will receive visions projected not only from their spiritual triad, not only from their higher self, their spiritual triad, or the hierarchy, but later, even beyond this, later visions projected from the monad or Shambhala, or still higher visions coming from higher centers in this solar system, even the galaxy. Just imagine. This is our future. This is infinity. Vision projected from the hierarchy or the spiritual triad is always related to the plan of humanity and to the service of humanity. So it's not for the personal self. It's not for self-interest. It is always for the good of humanity. Vision projected from Shambhala is related, listen to this, is particularly if those of you listening today were in the Wednesday night class, we talked about the planetary logos in the Wednesday night class. Now we're understanding that vision that is projected to us from Shambhala is related to the purpose of the planetary logos. The purpose of the planetary logos, and vision projected from higher sources, which are going to be related to solar and galactic fields of service. So service is ad infinitum. It starts with your small circle and then expands and expands and expands. And then the expansion, that expansion gets broader and bigger and includes higher spheres of life. The rule is, if there is no vision, then it is not related to the field of service. There is no vision if it is not related to the field of service. Leaders must realize that they cannot lead others until they know how to lead themselves. This understanding empowers them to take responsibility for their own growth and development, and setting a powerful example of those they lead. This is a leader who is a sincere and devoted student of the teaching, who is very anxious to take their evolution into their own hands. They must know that leadership is the result of such realizations. Without these realizations, there is no leadership. See, the point that the teaching is trying to make and to give us is that leadership is not about domineeringness. It is not about bossiness. It is not about leaders who have become empowered because of their millions and billions of dollars. True leaders are those who are anxious to take their evolution into their own hands. They must know that leadership is the result of such realizations. Without these realizations, there is no leadership. So once a person is led to themselves, then they become a person who awakens people, not by trying to do so, but spontaneously. Their very existence, listen to this, because I know we can relate to this, their very existence creates conflict, creates striving, and creates self-exertion in others. I wish we had more time this morning to think about it, talk about this, but think about someone who had your spiritual interests in their heart, who really had a concern for your evolution. And think about how their action, their love for you, created conflict within yourself. So this is a conflict that ultimately moves into the rainbow of harmony and beauty. We're creating a dissonance within the person. That dissonance must now harmonize itself, bringing the past and the present and the future into a new level of existence. And in that conflict, from that conflict comes beauty, goodness, righteousness, and joy. The conflict results and evokes striving and self-exertion in others until they become their own leaders. A true leader not only awakens in others self-exertion, striving, and conflict, but also the presence of their realizations and urges them to be creative. So creativity is a key word here. Leaders are creative. Creativity leads us to ourselves, which leads us into more responsible leadership. Creativity in this sense means to express the level of achievement that they have reached. The beauty one has touched within comes out as a creative expression in their life. So once a person starts to be creative, once we start to become creative, we will lead ourselves into sacrificial service. Sacrificial service means to make a person or an object sacred. In New Age discipleship, the leader will realize that life is service. When we want to be able to have that, when we want to be able to recognize a false leader from a true leader, the principle of true leadership is found in sacrificial service, is found in serving others, not self-serving. That's a true leader. That's who we want to put ourselves behind and promote, and to create an environment that will further their field of leadership. Help them realize that vision coming into manifestation. So the foundation of life is service. The great teachers will choose us not only for what we know and what we are, but also for how we serve and how long and how well we served in the past. The teaching explains that no one can lead other people to such realizations if they cause those around them to be artificially oriented. Think of Mother Teresa. She was such a simple woman. There was nothing artificial in her. She did not take the gold and the rubies and the diamonds and the other precious stones of the church and drag them along with her. She just wore a simple garb that never, well, she probably changed it, but the garb itself was that white with the blue color, and the covering it was so simple. And that was a message to all of us, is that no one can lead other people around them to be artificially oriented if they are a true leader. So spiritual leadership does not mean to lead other people in your steps. It means to cause others to be led by their own high spirit, their high sincerity. In other words, the highest within themselves. Once 3 or 4 people are really led to themselves, by themselves, then a leadership group may be formed. A spiritual leadership group is formed by those disciples who have contact with their own higher self. The spiritual leader is, like I was saying, using a different word, they're troublemakers. Isn't that interesting? Spiritual leaders are troublemakers in that they present opportunities for people to strive toward their true self. So if you have been around a true leader like that, you will understand what troublemaker means. It's not something ugly. It is something that is so beautiful. It is from friction comes harmony and beauty and success. So they are troublemakers to give opportunities for others to be successful and to strive toward their own true self. A troublemaker, in other words, is a custodian of a plan, the plan. They present the plan and they give people chances to work as much as they are able without pressure of any kind. And that's very important. This is something you learn in leadership. As you are giving your people opportunity to work as much as they are able, you cannot pressure them or they will collapse and burn out. In this way, the futuristic leader keeps their own freedom and does not violate the free will of others. A New Age spiritual leader is an achievement. Think about this. A New Age, New Era spiritual leader is an achievement, is a path of achievement for others. That is such a profound statement. Because of such an achievement, a possibility exists for us, and another path is now open. Every leader must be able to say, I am a point of light within a greater light. They are not saying that they wish that they were the light and that light would come and enter their head. When they say, I am a strand of loving energy, they are affirming their own achievement with a stream of divine love. They say, I am a point of sacrificial fire, focused within the fire will of God. They do not say, I am a way by which men may come to me. This is the mantra of the real disciple. Because of their light, because of their love, because of their power, others are challenged to go more deeply within and to achieve within themselves. I think of, for example, not getting into the political field, but I think about Hillary Clinton. I think about Michelle Obama. I think about Kamala Harris. Again, don't hear me speaking politically. I am not. I'm speaking about powerful women in society today that are trying to make a difference. They are not self-serving. They are trying to inspire women who have been so suppressed. Their leadership has been so suppressed for history. Now a new path is opening up. It is a difficult path for a woman to strive to be ahead of a country. There are many women that are ahead of other countries. This country, the United States, has just not accomplished it yet, but it may, and certainly will in the future. Watch their principles, listen to their principles, look to see their service, not so much what they say, but their accomplishments, their achievement. And I mean, I hear so many women today talking about how Michelle Obama is inspiring them. Oprah Winfrey, there we go, we're getting out of politics, although she's very much into politics today. She has a school for girls, a leadership school for girls. This is a new path is opening for women, which will open a path for little boys, little girls, adult men and women. The term leadership does not necessarily refer to the head of a group. It rather refers to a person who is trying to lead themselves into light. When a person leads themselves into greater light, greater sacrifice and service, and greater cooperation with the hierarchy, they are a leader. When they themselves, they are leading others' lives around them, they are leading others who are karmically affiliated with them. Their leadership is not by force, but because of their achievements. We have been given examples for eons of time that leadership is force. And that just is not the case, not with true leadership. True leadership is not by force, but because of the leader's achievement. On this path, the greatest trap for leadership is vanity. Vanity is a state of mental illusion. When a person thinks that they are something that they are not, When a person after transitory objects or values, when they are focusing on and striving for and desiring for transitory objects or values, they are a person of vanity. This is an important point. When you see a person emphasizing things that are really useless and without value from the standpoint of the eternal presence or the eternal now, then the eternal now, then they are a person of vanity because they are running after shadows. We are about infinity. True leadership is not about the eternal now, but about infinity, the future. Every time we overemphasize secondary things that are not really eternal, spiritual, or do not present a value that gives greater freedom to humanity, then we are running after our shadows. These shadows may be in the form of objects, states of consciousness, or illusions and glamours. There are 4 important qualities which a leader must cultivate, sometimes very cautiously or even painfully. These qualities must be practiced in their daily speech and thought and service. They are objectivity, sincerity, directness, and gratitude. So the first one is objectivity. A leader is a down-to-earth person. They are practical and realistic and do not run after glamours or illusions. Now, this does not mean that they deny abstract values and realities, but for them they are objective because of their intuitional faculty. They have the ability to see things as they are with their true value and connections. The second quality is sincerity. Leaders must be sincere, not only with themselves, but with others. Sincerity evokes spiritual recognition and a cooperative spirit in others. It inspires faith and trust. It is the ability to face oneself in the light of reality, to face oneself in the light of reality, and to relate oneself to others as one in essence. Now, the third quality, I'm going to speak a little bit more about it because it's so important. The third quality is directness. This is the ability to dissipate those factors which can distort your image, as you really are. So directness is the shortcut. The leader never loses time and never looks for detours, but they deal with the right person in the right way at the right moment. They put their finger on the exact problem and emphasize the most important key to the problem. I remember when a co-worker was talking to me about, you need to be more direct, you need to be more frank. And I thought so much about that. Because being indirect is the opposite of being direct. And this is what I have discovered over the years, that being direct and being frank is the mark of a true leader when directness and frankness is, number one, filled with humility, filled with diplomacy, and filled with an understanding of who they are talking to, who they are communicating with. It's like diplomacy is like, as a musician, as a violinist, we learned in playing music how to play music that was signified with a triple F. Triple F means very loud. And triple P means very soft. So somewhere between triple P and triple F, we want to, as leaders, be frank and direct. And the diplomacy is the quality or loudness or softness of your directness, which depends on the message, see, that you are trying to put across. If you don't use the diplomacy of the triple F or triple P, you're going to lose the message that you're trying to convey to the person. So directness means that you contact the people to whom you direct yourself. It means you don't have somebody else give the message. You are giving the message. You are being direct to that person yourself. Doesn't mean you send your wife over here to talk to somebody, or that you send your boss, your husband, to call your boss to say why you can't make it to work today. Simple little example. Directness means complete communication of everything that you want to say. If a disciple does not learn directness, they become a victim of their own glamours, illusions, and Maya. They may destroy these and face themselves. They must destroy these glamours, illusions, and Maya and face themselves. Directness saves time and energy. It creates shocks and makes people face reality. When you are not direct, you create many complications for yourself and others. When a leader is indirect, they lose their prestige. They become weak, and people eventually mistrust them. So the fourth quality is gratitude. A grateful person is a person of magnetism and cooperation. They attract higher qualities. Grateful people attract higher qualities. Gratitude is the recognition and appreciation of the help that is given to a person. Through gratitude, we help people to be better, to be more beautiful. Gratitude increases the soul. It's so interesting to think about that gratitude increases the soul quality in others. When these four virtues are developed, they dissipate vanity, and the leader stands within the light of their essence. So leadership is our achievement. Because of our achievement and by our achievement, we are creating a tremendous vacuum in a field. For example, think this: when you are a boat and you push the paddle into the water, you're creating a hole. It's like a vortex of water whirling further down. You create a hole into which more water races. Because you're moving a quantity of water, its place is filled by other water. If you've ever used an oar, you go out and look at the end of the oar that's dipping into the water, and you see how that works. So allegorically, such a movement is formed by your movement into yourself. Your expansion, in other words, is creating space, an opportunity for others to move into themselves, into their next level of awareness. Nicholas Rourke did a very beautiful painting of someone sitting and throwing arrows. It is of a blue mountain and arrows being thrown into space. It's so beautiful. The man in the painting is throwing his thoughts, the arrow, throwing his thoughts. Who knows where they came from, but they impress people, influence people, and expand their consciousness. This is similar to climbing Mount Everest. Because Everest is a great mountain, an achievement in front of us, we cannot help but climb it. We do so because we want to be, because it reminds us of our future possibilities. Now, the primary danger for humanity at this time is obsession and possession. And these are things we must look for in our leaders. We've had in this country an example of a person who, during the time of 9/11, was the most beautiful, powerful, otherness leader, who even wrote a magnificent book on leadership, and today has deteriorated into nothingness. Why? Obsession and possession. It's the primary danger for humanity at this time. Obsession and possession are gradual. When men or women are going to be obsessed, their walk changes. Their eyes change. Their looks change. They even speak differently. And they undergo other changes. They may love you one moment and hate you the next. Different personalities and faces appear in them. From these signs, you may immediately know their condition. Don't align yourselves with their past. Align yourself with their achievements and the present, where they are taking us into the future. There is another danger that those who are striving to be leaders must be made aware of. The danger may be referred to as evoking the emanations of the past. Master M says, it is necessary to study attentively the cases of so-called dual existence. At its worst, he says, it is a type of obsession. At its best, it is the survival of former incarnations. Sometimes the spirit approaches his former incarnations to such an extent that he relives them. It is necessary to observe solicitously this condition, which does not enter into the consciousness of the present incarnation. We don't want it to happen, in other words. One should not trouble him with questions. You notice that we touch upon past incarnations. This is MM still talking. You notice that we touch upon past incarnations only in cases of necessity, in order not to evoke the emanations of the past from Akasha. Being stuck to the past occurs when, through some ways or means, a person is in connection with the memories of their past, either consciously or unconsciously. For example, though a simple woman now, she was a queen in past incarnations. So she tries to act like a queen now, even though she is not. This creates a tremendous conflict. I know 2 women and 2 men with this condition, and life is very complicated for them. The emanations of the past are your emotional, mental, and karmic radiations or waves of energy and force. If you go too deeply and really start reliving your past incarnations, you will eventually attract all your former emanations and make a mess of your present life. So let me close. Leadership is used as our either power or domination. Power is the result of knowledge, expansion of consciousness, creativity, purity of observation and contact with the higher world. Power is impossible without an elevated and expanded consciousness. Now, domination is the result of a narrow consciousness full of fear. Isn't that interesting? Full of self-interest. A leader who wants to dominate and dictate is not a true leader. They are filled with fear and self-interest. Leadership is not domination, but the ability to awaken in others the sense of direction, discrimination, and the sense of the most important. So leadership, true leadership, stands for success. And by all possible means, the leader must strive for victory and success, even in their worst defeats. I just feel like today's talk is such an important talk for what's going on in the world today. So it will appear up on our YouTube account. And the way you get to White Mountain's YouTube account is to go to the website, White Mountain Education Association website. And down at the bottom, there is an icon that says YouTube. All you do is click. It will take you right to the YouTube site, and you'll be able to listen to today's talk and take notes.